The guy who secretly photographed my girlfriend at lunch posted the pics in our work chat and claimed she was carrying his baby. When I asked him why, he rolled his eyes and said, "You have no idea who you're messing with." I stayed silent. That was 5 days ago. Today, he was crying in a hospital gown under police guard. Jake was one of those guys who thought every woman secretly wanted him. He worked with me in construction. Huge muscles, covered in tattoos, Mexican just like me. Nobody dared report his constant harassment because we all knew how that would end. I needed this job badly too. My mom's dialysis wasn't paying for itself. But when my girlfriend Sarah started bringing me lunch on Fridays, everything changed. The first time she visited, Jake suddenly needed to work shirtless right next to where we ate. He flexed every muscle while hammering boards that didn't need hammering. I was going to say something, but Sarah squeezed my hand under the table. Then came the photos. Jake had taken pictures of Sarah from behind without her knowing, posted them in the public Facebook group chat with comments about what he'd do to her. By the time I saw them, 20 guys had already screenshot everything. HR said they couldn't prove it was him since he used a burner account. Then I found out he'd been telling everyone at work that Sarah was pregnant with his kid, that I was raising another man's baby. The rumor spread to other job sites, but after 3 weeks, he didn't just fill it with superglue. He mixed in fiberglass insulation and construction adhesive. When I put it on, the glue bonded instantly, and my entire scalp burned like acid. At the hospital, they had to cut chunks of my scalp off with the helmet, left me with bald patches and chemical burns. Sarah texted me before I even left the ER. She said that we should take a break. Jake's lies were getting to her. She didn't fully believe them, but the doubt was there. That's when I knew I had to do something. He'd backed me into a corner thinking I was helpless, but he forgot cornered animals bite. I spent the weekend creating a fake Instagram profile. Maria Rodriguez, new administrative assistant at the company. The profile picture was an AI-generated photo of a girl who looked freshly 18, large brown eyes, long hair, exactly his type. The bio read, "Congratulations to Marco, who just got out of prison." As soon as I requested to follow Jake, that R-word accepted and messaged within minutes. By Wednesday, he was sending shirtless pics of his MC Donald's gut and talking about how Maria deserved a real man. He even bragged about his uncle owning the company, said he could get her promoted. I screenshotted everything, told him my boyfriend was working late and to bring flowers, made sure he knew I lived alone. That day, Jake came into work bragging about how he was an alpha male who could take what he wanted. He told the entire work crew to stay tuned for his live stream later that day. Holding back my smile was harder than juggling knives. That night, I watched the entire thing on my TV screen. Feet kicked up, popcorn in hand, a chaotic excitement pumping through my veins. The address belonged to an actual biker named Miguel, whose girlfriend happened to be named Maria. When Jake knocked holding those roses and Miguel opened the door, Jake's face went white. But he'd already introduced himself on the live stream, already said why he was there. Miguel dragged Jake inside. The phone hit the ground but kept recording. "Wait, my uncle is Leo Pinoa. He owns—" "Your uncle? You think I care about your uncle?" he interrupted. The sound of Jake being tortured was music to my ears. The video spread through every construction WhatsApp group by morning. Jake, with a black eye and busted lip, bragging about stealing taken women before getting beached. The company name was visible on his shirt. His uncle had no choice but to fire him, LOL. Everything was perfect until I checked my bank account. Someone had drained my mom's dialysis fund. The only other person who knew those details was Sarah. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. $3,000 gone. The entire fund I'd been building for 6 months. My fingers flew across the keyboard, checking transaction history. There it was, a transfer to an account I didn't recognize. But the name on the account made my blood run cold. Sarah Martinez. My legs carried me to my truck before I even realized I was moving. The drive to Sarah's apartment took 15 minutes, but felt like hours. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. She'd been the only one who knew where I kept the account information, the only one I'd trusted with my mom's medical needs. Sarah's car sat in her usual spot. I took the stairs 2 at a time and pounded on her door. No answer. I knocked harder. Finally, the lock clicked. The door opened just a crack, chains still attached. Sarah's face appeared, eyes red and puffy. She'd been crying hard. Fresh tears started the moment she saw me. "Please," she whispered. "Just go. You took the money." My voice came out flat. "My mom's dialysis money." Sarah's face crumpled. She fumbled with the chain, hands trembling so badly it took 3 tries. When the door swung open, I saw her apartment was a mess. Clothes thrown everywhere, furniture pushed around like someone had been searching for something. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. He made me. I didn't want to, but who made you?" But I already knew the answer. Sarah collapsed onto her couch, pulling her knees to her chest. "Jake came here 2 nights ago. He had screenshots of the Maria Rodriguez messages from your phone." My stomach dropped. I'd left my phone charging at work dozens of times. Jake must have gone through it when I wasn't looking. He said you were catfishing women, said he'd go to the police, press charges for identity theft and fraud. But then, Sarah's voice broke completely. Then he showed me the other photos. "What other photos?" Sarah couldn't meet my eyes. "From when we dated, years ago, before I met you. I was young and stupid and I sent him pictures. He said he'd post them online if I didn't help him get even with you." The room spun. Jake had dated Sarah before me. She'd never mentioned it, probably too embarrassed about her past with that that scumbag, and now he was using it against both of us. He made me transfer the money, said it was justice for what you did to him, said if I didn't, those photos would be on every adult film site by morning with my full name attached. Sarah wiped her face with shaking hands. I know your mom needs that money. I know how hard you worked for it, but I couldn't. I couldn't let him destroy my life. I sat down hard on the coffee table across from her. The anger drained out of me, replaced by something worse. Jake had played us both. We need to go to the police, I said. Sarah shook her head violently. We can't. He was smart about it. Made me do the transfer myself from my laptop. As far as the bank knows, I just sent money to another account. His name isn't on anything. But the extortion, what proof do we have? He came here in person. No texts, no emails, just his word against mine. Sarah finally looked at me. I'm so sorry. I'll pay it back, I swear. I'll take out a loan, sell my car, whatever it takes. I stood up, pacing the small living room. Jake had us trapped. Again. But something didn't add up. You said the account was under your name? Sarah nodded. Sarah Martinez. But I don't have any account at that credit union. I've never even been there. What credit union? First Federal, the one near. Her eyes widened. Near the industrial district, where Jake's uncle's business is. We looked at each other. Jake might have been smart, but not smart enough. He'd used a fake account in Sarah's name, but the location gave him away. The next morning, I drove to the police station with Sarah. We sat in those hard plastic chairs for 2 hours before Detective McCatherine finally called us back. She was older, maybe 50, with gray streaks in her hair and tired eyes. Sarah told the whole story while I sat silent. The detective took notes, nodding occasionally. When Sarah finished, McCatherine set down her pen. I understand this is frustrating, she said, but without evidence of the threats, this is a civil matter. Ms. Martinez technically authorized the transfer herself, but he extorted her, I protested. Can you prove that? Any recordings, witnesses, text messages? We had nothing. Jake had been too careful. The detective gave us a form to fill out for the report, but made it clear nothing would come of it. Outside the station, Sarah broke down again. I drove her home in silence. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom asking about her appointment next week. I didn't know how to tell her the money was gone. That afternoon, Carlos called me. He worked the same crew, one of the few guys who'd never laughed at Jake's harassment. Hey man, you need to know something, Carlos said. Leo's been calling around, telling everyone you're a thief who stole from the company safe. What? Yeah, says you can't be trusted. Nobody's gonna hire you now. Every construction company in the city talks to each other. You know that. I hung up and checked my work email. Sure enough, termination notice. Effective immediately. No explanation needed since I was still in the probationary period. Over the next week, I applied everywhere. 23 companies. The moment they heard my name, the conversation ended. One hiring manager was honest enough to tell me I'd been blacklisted. Mom's dialysis center called daily. I dodged the calls until they sent a certified letter. Payment was overdue. One more missed payment, and they'd have to discharge her as a patient. Sarah tried to help. She'd already applied for 3 different loans, but kept getting rejected. Her credit wasn't good enough for the amount we needed. She sold her laptop and some jewelry, but it barely made a dent. Then Jake started showing up at the coffee shop where Sarah worked. He'd order a simple black coffee and sit for hours, staring at her. When she tried to switch sections, he'd move tables. When she hid in the back, he'd wait. He never said anything illegal, never made threats, just sat there with that smirk. Sarah's manager said they couldn't ban a paying customer who wasn't causing trouble. Sarah started calling in sick. Then her manager said she'd have to let her go if the absences continued. We were drowning. Jake had destroyed everything without technically breaking any laws, at least none we could prove. That's when Sarah's roommate Brittany knocked on my apartment door. I'd met her a few times. Quiet girl who worked in IT for some tech company downtown. She stood in my doorway holding a laptop. Sarah told me everything, Brittany said. I want to help. I let her in, too exhausted to argue. Brittany set up her laptop on my kitchen table and pulled out Sarah's phone. Sarah mentioned Jake borrowed her phone a few months ago at work, said his was dead, and he needed to make a call. Brittany's fingers flew across the keyboard, but I think he did more than make a call. She plugged Sarah's phone into her laptop. Windows popped up full of code I didn't understand. After 20 minutes, Brittany sat back. That bastard, she muttered. He installed a keylogger app. It's been recording everything. Texts, passwords, banking apps. He's been watching her for months. My hands clenched into fists. Can we prove it? Better than that. The app sends logs to an email address, and that email, Brittany turned the laptop toward me, is registered to Jake Panoa. We had him. Finally, we had actual evidence, but Brittany wasn't done. Look at this, she said, scrolling through logs. He's been monitoring at least 6 other women, all from construction sites, all with similar apps installed. My mind raced. Jake had been doing this for who knows how long, building a network of victims he could control and exploit. We need to be smart about this, Brittany said. If we go to the police now, he might destroy evidence. We need him to incriminate himself further. That's when the plan started forming. It was risky, maybe stupid, but we were out of options. Brittany helped us set the trap. She had Sarah text her friend Kathy, making sure to mention I'd been hiding cash in my apartment, money from side jobs I didn't report, said I didn't trust banks after what happened. The text was specific. $8,000 in cash hidden in a shoebox in my bedroom closet. I'd be working a night job on Thursday, apartment empty from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Jake took the bait. Thursday night, I sat in my dark apartment with Carlos and 2 other construction workers, Thon and John. Both had stories about Jake. Both wanted payback. At 9:47 p.m., we heard the lock rattle. rattle. Jake had somehow gotten a copy of my key, probably from the same time he went through my phone. The door opened slowly. Jake crept through my apartment using his phone's flashlight. We stayed hidden, Carlos recording everything on his phone. Jake went straight to the bedroom, straight to the closet. He pulled out the shoebox we'd planted, opened it to find the fake cash Brittany had gotten from a movie prop store. That's when I flipped the lights on. Jake spun around, shoebox in his hands, fake money visible. His face went through several expressions: surprise, anger, then panic when he saw Carlos filming. "Wait," Jake stammered. "This isn't what it looks like." "Really?" I stepped forward. "Because it looks like you're robbing me." Jake dropped the box, cash scattering across the floor. "You set me up. This is entrapment." "Entrapment is when police do it," Than said from behind him. "This is just catching a thief." Jake tried to push past us, but John blocked the doorway, not touching him, just standing there. Jake was trapped. "Fine," Jake exploded. "You want the truth? Yeah, I made Sarah take that money. She deserved it after what you did to me. And those photos? I've got hundreds. Not just her. Every stuck-up girl who thought she was too good for me." Carlos kept filming. Jake couldn't stop himself, ego taking over. "You think you're smart with your little Maria Rodriguez game? I own this city. My uncle runs everything. I've been watching all of you through your phones for months. Sarah, Brittany, that girl Catherine from the West Side site. I know all your secrets." "Including the extortion?" I asked. "It's not extortion if they owe me," Jake shouted. "These girls led me on. Sarah dated me, then acted like it never happened. They all do that. Act interested, then pretend they don't know me. So yeah, I keep the photos. Yeah, I make them pay when they disrespect me." He was confessing to everything, on camera, with 4 witnesses. "My uncle's going to destroy all of you," Jake threatened. "You'll never work in this state again." "Let's go ask him," I said. Jake's face went pale. "What? Your uncle? Let's show him this video. See what Leo Panoa thinks about his nephew breaking into apartments and admitting to extortion." Jake's bravado crumbled instantly. His eyes darted between the 4 of us, then to Carlos's phone still recording. The fake money lay scattered across my bedroom floor, evidence of his attempted theft clear as day. "Turn that off," Jake demanded, voice cracking. "You can't record me without permission." "Actually, we can," Brittany said from the doorway. She'd been waiting in the bathroom, monitoring everything through her laptop. "You broke into private property. No expectation of privacy during commission of a crime." Jake lunged for Carlos's phone, but Than stepped between them. The bigger man didn't touch Jake, just stood there like a wall. Jake bounced off him and stumbled backward. "This is kidnapping!" Jake shouted. "You're holding me against my will." "Door's right there," John said, stepping aside. "But Carlos is coming with us, with his phone." Jake's face twisted with rage and fear. He knew he was caught. The confession, the break-in, all of it on video. His hands shook as he pulled out his own phone. "I'm calling my uncle," he said. "He'll have all of you arrested." "Please do," I said. "Let's get Leo down here. Show him what his nephew's been up to." Jake's thumb hovered over the screen. We waited. The apartment was silent except for his ragged breathing. Finally, he lowered the phone. "What do you want?" His voice came out small, defeated. "The money you stole. All of it. From everyone." I kept my voice steady. "And you're going to leave Sarah alone. Leave all of them alone." Jake's jaw clenched. "I don't have $3,000. "Then you better find it," Carlos said, "or this video goes to your uncle tonight." "And the police," Brittany added, "along with all the evidence of the keylogger apps. That's federal wire fraud, by the way. Accessing protected computers without authorization." Jake's face went white. Federal charges meant real prison, not county jail. His tough guy act completely evaporated. "I need time," he said. "A few days to get the money together." "You have until Monday," I said. 9 a.m., cash, all of it. Jake nodded frantically. "Monday. I'll have it Monday." "And the photos," Sarah said from behind Brittany. She'd been listening from the hallway, too upset to face him directly. "Every photo you have of me, of any of us, deleted, forever." "I can't just—" "Yes, you can," Brittany interrupted, "and I'll be checking. If I find even one photo anywhere online after Monday, the FBI cybercrime unit gets everything." Jake looked like he might throw up. He nodded again, then pushed past John and stumbled out of my apartment. We heard his truck peel out of the parking lot moments later. Carlos lowered his phone, hands shaking slightly. "Think he'll actually pay?" "He doesn't have a choice," I said, but I wasn't sure. Jake was cornered, desperate. Desperate people did stupid things. The weekend crawled by. Sarah stayed with Brittany, too scared to be alone in her apartment. I spent Saturday calling dialysis centers, begging for extensions. They gave me until Tuesday before they'd have to discharge my mom. Sunday night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "You think you're clever?" Jake's voice was different, colder. "You have no idea who you're messing with." "Jake, shut up and listen. That video doesn't mean anything. You entrapped me. Any lawyer will get it thrown out. And those keylogger claims? Prove I installed them. Prove it was me and not someone else using my email." My stomach sank. He'd had time to think, maybe talk to someone. His confidence was returning. "But here's what's going to happen," Jake continued. "You're going to delete that video. Tell your friends to forget this ever happened. Or I make some calls. Real calls. To people who handle problems permanently. Are you threatening me? I'm explaining reality. My uncle knows people. Connected people. You think getting blacklisted from construction work is bad? Wait until you can't get any job anywhere. Wait until your mom's dialysis isn't your biggest problem." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, pulse racing. Jake wasn't going to pay. He was going to double down. I called Carlos immediately. "Change of plans. Jake just threatened me." "What kind of threats?" I explained the call. Carlos went quiet for a long moment. "My cousin works at the district attorney's office," he finally said. said. Let me make some calls. Monday morning came with no sign of Jake. Sarah and Brittany arrived at my apartment at 8:30, both looking exhausted. By 9:15, it was clear Jake wasn't coming. We need to go to Leo, I said. Show him everything. That's what Jake expects, Brittany said. He's probably already spinning some story to his uncle. We need to be smarter. She opened her laptop and started typing. I've been digging into Jake's online presence all weekend. The keylogger email led to other accounts, other activities. Windows popped up on her screen. Dating profiles, social media accounts, forum posts, all connected to the same email address. Look at this, Brittany said. Posts on pickup artist forums, bragging about his collection, sharing tips on installing spy apps, even selling some photos. My fists clenched. He's been selling them? To other creeps online. Small amounts, but it's trafficking. That's serious federal time. Brittany kept scrolling. And here's something interesting. Posts complaining about his uncle, saying Leo doesn't appreciate him, talking about taking over the business someday. Sarah leaned in. He's been planning to push his uncle out? Looks like it. Mentions having insurance on Leo. Dirt that would ruin him. Brittany's eyes lit up. If Jake has compromising information on his uncle, then Leo might not protect him, I finished. Carlos called while we were still digging through Jake's digital footprint. His cousin at the DA's office was interested but needed more evidence. The video of the break-in was good, but Jake's threat about entrapment wasn't entirely wrong. We needed something ironclad. That's when Than texted me. Jake was at the West Side construction site, working like nothing had happened. Leo had apparently assigned him there to keep him away from our usual crew. He thinks he's won, Sarah said, reading the text. Thinks we'll just give up. Maybe we should let him think that, Brittany said, while we build a real case. But I couldn't wait. My mom's dialysis appointment was tomorrow. The center needed payment today, or they'd discharge her. $3,000 I didn't have because Jake stole it. I'm going to talk to Leo, I said. That's what Jake wants, Brittany warned. He's probably expecting it. I don't care. I need that money today. Carlos offered to come with me, but I went alone. Leo's office was in a converted warehouse in the industrial district. His secretary recognized me, and her face went cold. Mr. Panoa isn't taking meetings, she said. Tell him it's about Jake. Tell him I have video he needs to see. She hesitated, then picked up her phone. After a brief conversation, she nodded toward Leo's office. 5 minutes. Leo Panoa sat behind a massive desk, looking every bit the successful businessman. Mid-50s, silver hair, expensive suit. He didn't invite me to sit. I heard you've been spreading lies about my nephew, he said. They're not lies. I pulled out my phone. I have proof. Leo waved dismissively. Jake told me about your little scheme. Fake social media profiles, catfishing, setting him up. You're lucky I don't press charges myself. Just watch the video, I said. Then decide. I played Carlos's recording. Leo's expression didn't change as he watched Jake break into my apartment, steal the fake money, and confess to extortion. When it finished, Leo leaned back in his chair. Clever editing, he said. But Jake explained everything. You lured him there under false pretenses. Entrapment. Any decent lawyer would tear this apart. He stole $3,000 from my mother's dialysis fund, I said. Made my girlfriend transfer it through extortion. According to whom? Do you have proof, documentation, or just more stories? I realized Jake had done exactly what Brittany predicted. He'd gotten to his uncle first, spinning the narrative in his favor. Leo wasn't interested in the truth. He was protecting family. Your nephew is a predator, I said. He's been stalking women, installing spy apps on their phones, selling their private photos online. Leo's eyes narrowed. Careful. Defamation is a serious crime. My lawyers would destroy you. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Stay away from my nephew. Stay away from my business, or I'll make sure you never work in this state again. Leo stood up. We're done here. I left his office feeling defeated. Jake had won. His uncle's protection made him untouchable. Outside, I called Sarah to update her. I'm so sorry, she said, voice thick with tears. This is all my fault. If I hadn't dated him before, stop. This isn't your fault. It's Jake's. What are we going to do about your mom? I didn't have an answer. The dialysis center closed at 5. I had 6 hours to find $3,000 that didn't exist. That's when Brittany texted me. Don't give up. Meet me at the coffee shop. Bring Carlos. 20 minutes later, we sat in a corner booth while Brittany typed furiously on her laptop. The coffee shop was mostly empty, just a few afternoon customers. I found something, she said. Remember Jake's posts about having insurance on his uncle? I think I know what it is. She turned the screen toward us. Financial documents, construction contracts, permit applications, all pulled from various government databases and public records. Leo's been skimming from city contracts, Brittany explained. Billing for materials never delivered, workers who don't exist, classic construction fraud. Carlos whistled low. How much? Over the past 5 years? At least 2 million, maybe more. Brittany pulled up more documents. And look who signed off on a lot of these fraudulent reports. Jake's name appeared on dozens of forms. Employee timesheets, material orders, inspection reports, all with his signature. He's been helping his uncle steal, I said. Or his uncle's been using him, Brittany suggested. Either way, Jake's neck deep in federal fraud. That's probably his insurance. He goes down, he takes Leo with him. Can we prove this? Carlos asked. The evidence is all here. Public records, government databases. Anyone could find it if they knew where to look. Brittany smiled. And I just sent an anonymous tip to the FBI's construction fraud task force with very specific details about where to look. My phone buzzed. The dialysis center. Final warning about tomorrow's appointment. I silenced it, feeling sick. That's great for the long term, I said, but I need money today. Working on that too, Brittany said. Sarah, can you text Kathy again? From your phone? Sarah looked confused but pulled out her phone. What should I say? Tell her you're scared. Jake's been following you. You're thinking about going to the police, but you're worried about the photos. Brittany watched as Sarah typed. Perfect. Now we wait. Wait for what? I asked. Jake to see it. The keylogger is still active. He's still watching everything on Sarah's phone. Within 10 minutes, Sarah's phone rang. Jake, put it on speaker, Brittany whispered. Record everything. Sarah answered with shaking hands. Hello? Don't even think about it. Jake's voice was harsh. You go to the police, those photos go live. Every site I can find. With your full name, where you work, everything. Please, Jake, I just want this to stop. Then control your boyfriend. Make him delete that video. Make him stop causing problems. I can't control him. He's desperate. His mom needs dialysis and you took the money. Jake laughed. Not my problem. Should have thought about that before he tried to humiliate me. What if? Sarah paused, glancing at Brittany, who nodded encouragement. What if I could get him to delete the video? Would you leave us alone? Depends. What else you offering? I still have some jewelry, worth maybe $1,000, and I could get a payday loan for the rest. Pay you to just go away. Jake was quiet for a moment. You'd pay me to leave you alone? I just want my life back. Want to feel safe again. $3,000, cash, tonight, and your boyfriend deletes everything. I can't get that much tonight. Then the photos go live. Your choice. The line went dead. Brittany stopped recording and immediately started transferring the file. He just committed extortion again, she said. On tape, demanding money, threatening revenge, adult film. This is exactly what we needed. But I was thinking about something else. Sarah, do you actually have jewelry worth $1,000? She shook her head. Maybe $200 in pawn value. I've got about $400 saved, Carlos offered. It's not much, but I can cover the rest, Brittany said quietly. I've got good credit. I can get a cash advance. I can't ask you to do that, Sarah protested. You're not asking. I'm offering. Brittany closed her laptop. We pay Jake, get him on video accepting extortion money. Then we take everything to the police. It was risky. We'd be giving Jake exactly what he wanted. But with the new recording and video evidence of him taking the money, we'd have an airtight case. Where do we meet him? I asked. Sarah texted Jake back, negotiating details. He wanted to meet in the parking lot behind an abandoned strip mall. Isolated, dark, no cameras. Everything about it screamed danger. I'll be there, Carlos said immediately, with Thon and John. He'll see you, I pointed out. Might spook him. Then we stay hidden, but you're not going alone. We spent the afternoon gathering money. Sarah pawned her jewelry and 2 designer purses. Carlos withdrew his savings. Brittany maxed out a credit card cash advance. Combined with what I had left, we scraped together $2,800. It's not enough, Sarah said, counting again. It'll have to be, I replied. Maybe he'll take it as a down payment. As the sun set, we prepared for the meeting. Brittany would stay in her car nearby, recording everything through a long-range microphone she'd borrowed from her tech-savvy friends. Carlos, Thon, and John would position themselves around the parking lot, hidden but ready. Sarah and I would face Jake together. The abandoned strip mall looked even worse at night. Broken windows, graffiti-covered walls, weeds growing through cracks in the asphalt. Jake's truck was already there when we arrived, parked under the only working streetlight. He got out as we approached, staying near his vehicle. Smart. Quick escape if needed. Where's my money? He demanded. Sarah held up the envelope. $2,800. It's all we could get today. I said $3,000. Take it or leave it, I said. It's more than you deserve. Jake's face twisted with anger, but greed won. He snatched the envelope from Sarah, quickly counting the bills. This buys you 1 week, he said. Then I want the rest, plus interest. Another $1,000 for making me wait. That wasn't the deal, Sarah protested. Deals changed, unless you want those photos going live tonight. He was getting greedy, overconfident, exactly what we needed. Fine, I said, but we need guarantees. Delete the photos now, in front of us. Jake laughed. You think I'm stupid? The photos are my insurance. They stay until I get every penny. Then how do we know you won't just keep demanding more? Sarah asked. You don't. That's the beauty of it. Jake pocketed the envelope. I own you now. Both of you. Get used to it. He turned back to his truck, and that's when everything went sideways. Blue and red lights flooded the parking lot. 3 police cars screeched in from different directions, blocking Jake's escape. What the hell? Jake spun around, glaring at us. You called the cops? I was just as surprised as he was. This wasn't part of our plan. Sarah grabbed my arm, both of us backing away as officers emerged from their vehicles. Jake Panoa? The lead officer approached with his hand on his weapon. We have a warrant for your arrest. For what? Jake demanded. Federal wire fraud, cyberstalking, and trafficking in illegal images. The officer produced handcuffs. Turn around. Hands behind your back. Jake's face went from confused to furious. He looked at me with pure hatred. You did this. You set me up. Actually, he didn't. A woman in a suit stepped out of an unmarked car, FBI badge on her belt. We've been investigating you for months, Mr. Panoa, ever since one of your victims in Arizona filed a complaint. Arizona? This was bigger than we'd thought. Jake had been doing this across state lines. As the officers cuffed Jake, he started shouting, "This is entrapment. They paid me. They gave me money. Check the envelope." The FBI agent took the envelope from Jake's pocket, examining the cash. She looked at Sarah and me with raised eyebrows. "We can explain," I said quickly. "You'll need to. Both of you are coming with us for questioning." She turned to one of the officers. "Process the truck. I want every electronic device bagged and tagged." The next several hours blurred together. Sarah and I were separated, questioned individually. I told them everything: the harassment, the helmet attack, the stolen dialysis money, our attempt to trap Jake. The FBI agent, who introduced herself as Agent Chen, Chen listened without judgment. "We appreciate your cooperation," she finally said, "but you should have come to us sooner. Vigilante justice complicates prosecutions. We tried going to the police. They said it was a civil matter." Agent Chen nodded. "Local law enforcement doesn't always recognize cyber crimes. That's why we have federal task forces." She leaned forward. "The good news is, Jake's been on our radar for a while. Your evidence fills in gaps we've been trying to close. What about the money he stole? My mom needs dialysis tomorrow. Recovered funds will be returned after processing, but that could take weeks, maybe months." My heart sank. Weeks or months meant my mom would lose her spot at the dialysis center. Agent Chen must have seen my despair. "However," she continued, "there's a victim's assistance fund for cases like this, emergency medical situations. I can fast-track an application tonight." Relief flooded through me. "Really? Mr. Pinoa has hurt a lot of people. We try to help where we can." She slid some forms across the table. "Fill these out. I'll process them personally." It was past midnight when they finally released us. Sarah was waiting outside the federal building, looking exhausted but relieved. Brittany and Carlos were there too, having been questioned about their roles. "Jake's being held without bail," Brittany reported. "They found hundreds of victims across 5 states. He's looking at decades in federal prison." "What about Leo?" I asked. "That's the interesting part," Carlos said. "My cousin at the DA's office called. Apparently Leo's been at the federal building all evening, not to help Jake, to make a deal." "A deal?" "Turns out the FBI's fraud investigation was already closing in on him. Jake getting arrested just accelerated things. Leo's turning state's evidence, giving up his whole network to avoid prison time." I thought about Leo's cold dismissal that morning, his threats about ruining my career. Now he was the one scrambling to save himself. "So Jake's truly alone," Sarah said quietly. "No uncle to protect him, no money for fancy lawyers. Just a public defender and a mountain of evidence," Brittany added, "including everything we gathered. We stood in the cool night air, processing everything that had happened. It wasn't the resolution we'd planned, but it was better. Jake would face real justice, not just street justice." "I need to call the dialysis center in the morning," I said. "Let them know funding is coming." "Already handled," Agent Chen said, appearing behind us. "I called the center administrator directly, explained the situation. Your mother's appointments are secured for the next 6 months while we sort out restitution." I nearly collapsed with relief. After everything, my mom would get her treatment. Sarah squeezed my hand, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," I managed to say. "Thank the victim in Arizona who was brave enough to file that first report," Agent Chen replied. "And thank yourselves for not giving up. Your evidence is going to help a lot of people get justice." As we walked to our cars, Sarah leaned against me. "I'm sorry I ever dated him. Sorry I brought him into our lives. You didn't bring him into anything. He forced his way in. None of this was your fault. I know, She paused. "I'm glad it's over. Really over. But it wasn't quite over. There would be trials, testimony, more questions."